blogging is just something that is an extension of my personal superpower. I've wanted to be a writer since I was in 8th grade. And it just so happened that after I left the television industry and I became an entrepreneur, who knew that my writing ability was going to create a whole new opportunity for me, not only as a writer, but as a teacher and educator as well. Hi, I'm Melinda Emerson, and my nickname is SmallBizLady. As the SmallBizLady, my mission is to end small business failure. And content and producing really good blog content is key to me fulfilling my mission. I kind of look at myself almost like a teacher, because I give actionable tips and advice that people can read and use. And that's always been my formula. In today's class, I'm going to be talking to you about how to launch a corporate blog. There's a lot of things you're going to have to take in consideration. What I want for you is to be ahead of the process so that it doesn't stress you out as you launch this corporate blog. Now, depending on what department you work in, the goals could be different. And sometimes other departments might want to creep in and horn in on your blog. So you want to make sure that you understand up front who all has the authority to give you feedback on the goals of the blog. If you're from corporate communications, you might have one goal. If you're from marketing, you might need to be doing lead gen. If you're from the sales department wants to generate direct sales. You might also have someone from customer service weigh in on blog content. So you just want to make sure that you're crystal clear up front so that you don't have to do any rework and you don't find yourself in the middle of any politics as you're working on developing this blog. One of the other things that you want to keep in mind is what kind of resources are you going to need to be successful? For example, are you going to have budget to hire outside writers to help you? You also need to determine which department is really going to be in charge of the blog and have the final say, and will other departments be allowed to give you input? You also need to understand who's going to work with the social media team to promote the blog content. And lastly, you need to understand what your approval process is going to be. Do you need to get your legal department involved in reviewing content prior to it being launched? Now, one of the other things I want to walk you through is actually your blogging goals worksheet. First of all, you want to understand what are your short-term goals for the blog. You also want to take the time to think about what are your long-term goals for the blog. Usually blogs take about 2 to 3 years to really become a resource that people refer to. So you want to make sure that you understand how long of a runway you have internally in terms of the support you're going to have to build a following for your blog. You also want to understand who is the target audience for your blog content. And then once you know that, what are the problems that your blog readers are facing? Now, it's important to know this because you want to develop content that solves your blog readers' problems. So that's why it's really important to get clear on the target audience. And then you always want to have a mission statement for your blog. In my business, the mission statement of my blog is to end small business failure. So it doesn't have to be long, it just has to be clear. So you want to make sure that you're spending the time to really develop a mission for your blog, because you can always work out from your mission. Regardless of the type of content you develop, you always have to be focused on your reader. Educate them, help them, entertain them. Whatever you do, keep it about them and you'll always be on the right mark. Be careful not to sell to them. No one wants to be sold to, and everyone listens to the same radio station. It's WIIFM. In other words, what's in it for me, FM. So you want to make sure that you give them content that is going to always be helping them improve their lives in some kind of way. You know, your blog is an opportunity to highlight some of the hidden talent in your business, as well as grow your company's brand. So you want to use that opportunity very carefully. There are so many forms of content you can develop, from podcasts to blog posts to videos, images, quotes, even mini courses. The key is to pick content that you enjoy creating so that you won't dread it. Now, there's some other questions that you need to consider before you start developing content. The first one is, what does your company need this blog to do? The next thing you got to think about is the audience. Where are you going to find out information about your target audience so that you can make sure that you can tailor the content to them? You also need to think about, how frequently is this blog going to be publishing? Once a week or 10 times a day? And then, who is going to be your primary and contributing writers, and where will you find them? I hope you're able to make fast friends around your company. The other thing you want to think about is, what is going to be your content strategy? Certainly you can develop any type of content, but you should have a primary content type that you're going to develop. Maybe you're going to primarily do blog posts and occasionally bring in a podcast, or maybe you're a podcast only blog, or maybe you're a vlog, a video blog. Whatever it is, you need to think about that strategy, and so that you can occasionally mix it up, but you do kind of want your blog to be known for something. And then lastly, how are you going to measure your blog success? Is it going to be in page views, click-throughs, shares? How are you going to measure whether or not people are absorbing your content and it's accomplishing what you want?
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe to stay up to date on all of our latest videos.